All right, so Caroline, we were right in the middle of the lesson. We didn't record the first part of the lesson, but the general idea is that we're going to be redoing some code. So we commented out our main function and our all the way to our strat function. So it's as if all of this code doesn't exist, but instead of deleting it, we just commented it out. We started a new module called hooks. We're rendering that hooks, and we are here. So we're going to Minkowski two things. Remember, Minkowski will wrap one thing around another. What is the first shape that is going to be the inside of the Minkowski? That is going to be a cube. And the dimensions of that cube will be the dimensions of the overall object, kind of. Let's go ahead and do the dimensions of the cube afterwards. So I'm going to do square brackets inside the cube. I will do that later. I can just do 0, 0, 0 for now. It's an empty cube. This cube has dimension 0. It doesn't exist. The thing that's going to be wrapped around the cube is going to be a sphere. This sphere, depending on how big the sphere is, will be how round it is. If you feel like you printed this out and it is too sharp, it is because this sphere was not big enough. I'm going to take a poll. What do you guys think? I'm thinking maybe around 1 millimeter, 2.
See how it looks.
30?
Not 30. We won't be able to use it.
Let's for now set d is equal to 2, and then we can change this later. Actually, I don't want to have to change all these numbers again. We're making a new variable. So d is equal to nothing right now. Let's make a new variable, and it's going to be underneath dimensions. So underneath your thick category, still underneath your main category of dimensions, and this is subcategory of parameters. So under parameters, in dimensions, we're going to create a new variable. This variable, I'll comment it out, or comment the name of it. I'm going to call this curve. No, round.
We already have round.
Dang it. But that is the curve for the corner. So maybe that actually, we'll use the same variable actually, because maybe round 2. Round 2. I don't know if we want to use the same one. Round 2, let's set it equal to 2 as well. And what I want to say, this is how rounded the hooks are, I guess. Round 2, fight! No, okay, so round 2, everyone has a variable. You can comment it out or comment it with whatever you want. I'm just saying that's how rounded the hooks are. If it's sharp, fix this round 2. Don't forget your semicolon. Go ahead and render your code right now. Our code will throw an error because we haven't done our Minkowski correctly. But at least it's throwing an error that didn't end on line 39. Make sure you have a semicolon. In summary, semicolon on round 2. Coming back down here, let's set d equal to round 2, and now theoretically this should be working. Oh, what the heck? Hooks should be commented out. Oh, shoot, we didn't comment out hooks, did we? Sorry, we have to move this comment down beneath hooks. So basically, select this entire line. Select this entire line for the ending of the comment. We want to comment out hooks as well, so you just highlight it and drag it. Drag it to the ending of hooks, and now when I render it, nothing should be there, just maybe a sphere. So far, so good. You're lost. All right, let's figure out what we're doing. All right, so from here, we need to change the dimensions of our cube. What's up?
Oh, right.
So this z dimension, we're gonna have to do a little bit of math to do this one. We'll come back to that in a sec. Let's temporarily set it at 10, just so that we can see what's going on. We're going to have to change this number though, using math. The cube, we're going to set the height here to 15. That's what we decided last time. And the cube, the other dimension, what was that, 28, I think? 28. Okay, so if you render that, you should now see a box that looks like this. Obviously, this 10 is way too big. It's probably going to be somewhere closer to 5, I would guess. Probably somewhere around 5. But you should have a curvy little rectangular prism.
Can you subtract round 2 from all those dimensions?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so each of these dimensions is going to have to be subtracting round 2. But first of all, does everyone see a rounded box? No? Okay. If you do see a rounded box, each of these 28, 15, and 5, you're going to have to do minus round 2 minus round 2, minus round 2. Minus round 2. All right, so we just did some math and we figured out what we're gonna have to do. Everyone knows that we're gonna have to make a new variable. We're gonna call this thick2. Thick2. That's gonna be set equal to 1 for now. We're gonna try to make it as thin as possible. Your comment, don't copy mine exactly. This is how thick the clip will be. How thick the clip will be. It's going to be called thick2. If you don't like typing, maybe you want to call it T2, which is not the best movie, but it's still okay. The first is better. No one got the Terminator reference? All right, so we are moving on really quickly to avoid being embarrassed, Mr. Sindel. Thick2. This is how thick the clip will be. We're adding this to our variables. We're going to just call it 1 for now. Make it as thin as possible. We could probably even decrease this later if you wanted to, or increase it if it keeps breaking. The idea is making it as thin as possible. Okay, we're coming back down here to our hooks module. What we want to do now is get rid of this thing. We still want to get rid of, or just the 5, the minus round 2 we are still going to be needing. The reason that we have minus round 2 is because it's going to be added round 2 on each side. That's right. I'm thinking if it needs to be multiplied by 2. I think that's okay. Because round 2, is it being, yeah, so it's splitting up, so that's fine. The way that Minkowski works is it divides it in half and then adds each half to each side, so it's only adding half of round 2 on that side, half of round 2 on that side for a total of round 2. So we're good there. What we want to do for this dimension is we want, in our drawing that people online can't see, we need 2 of the thick 2. So 2 times thick 2. That's going to be added to however thick our band is. We know that when we compress our rubber band, or in this case the hair tie, it's 1. So it's 2 times thick 2 plus 1 minus round 2. It sounds like a bunch of gibberish, but that is exactly how long this is going to be minus the Minkowski function. That's why we have the minus round 2. All of this code tells you this is how wide that clip is going to be, or how tall the height is going to be in the z dimension.
Shorter than the normal rendered. Okay.
Does it look like that?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird that it's. Oh, because it's It's because the Minkowski is adding the other half at the bottom, which means it's not on the same plane.
Right, yeah. Okay, so from here, we now need to carve our hole. So grab all of this Minkowski, including the end bracket. Grab these 4 lines. Highlight these 4 lines. Highlight these 4 lines and hit tab. We're going to tab that over. And then above the Minkowski, we now need to do a difference because that's how we're going to carve a hole in this. Difference. The 4 lines, Minkowski to the last little curly bracket for the Minkowski. All right, difference. I'm going to start curly bracket and I'm going to end the curly bracket down here. So this is going to be the end of the difference. And then above that end of the difference, we're going to subtract the shape that we're looking for. We're going to subtract another curvy shape. And I'm trying to think if there's a better way of doing this, because Minkowski is super time critical. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Time sensitive, I guess. The more Minkowskis you use, the longer this will take to render, which is why you should try to avoid using them at all costs. So I was trying to think of maybe using a cylinder here. There is a more efficient way of doing it, but we don't have time for it today. The general idea is rectangle attached to half a cylinder, attached to half a cylinder. We could do it, but I'm just going to be lazy and do a Minkowski. Hopefully it doesn't take us more than 3 minutes to render this, or to compile this, or whatever. What is the word I'm looking for? This is going to be rendering and preview, yeah. So rendering this shouldn't take more than 3 minutes, even with 2 Minkowskis. We need a translated Minkowski. So start by typing off a translate. Everyone is on the right line. It's this above the curly bracket for the end of the difference, right? We're on this line, we're going to do a translate. Inside the translate, you're going to have square brackets, but for now, we're going to leave it blank. We're going to translate a Minkowski'd cube and sphere again. So underneath this translate, I am going to copy and paste all of this Minkowski code. These 4 lines, I am going to copy paste underneath this translate because it's the same thing, and we're just going to have to change the numbers a little bit. So I'm going to copy paste this same code underneath the translate, and you should have the following code. Raise your hand if you are not there. Everyone is there? I wonder what happens when we click render. Changes the color. Weird. Okay. Oh yeah, it's the same shape within the same shape. So what we need to do now is we need to, I'm pretty sure if we go inside of this, if it's even possible, it's invisible. I think we're looking on the inside of it right now, it's invisible.
Why is mine broken?
Why is yours broken? Alright, now what we need to do is change these dimensions for our cube. It used to be 28, we need this to be smaller than 28 by what thickness? And it's by whatever we're calling this thick 2. So it's going to be, we need to now add an additional, so this 28 minus thick 2. I don't know why I said thick 3. So minus thick 2, and I'm just going to temporarily see what's happening here. Ooh, interesting. Now I'm also going to do that for the 15. Now needs to be subtracted by thick 2. Oh, hold on. We have to subtract by 2 times thick 2 because thickness is on each side. We have on the top and the bottom, left and the right, so it's 2 times thick 2. And subtract 2 times thick 2 on each of these. And since we already subtracted by, or since we started with 2 times thick 2, we can just get rid of this 2 times thick 2. I'm going to highlight this. This thing I am going to delete. I'm going to move this over so I can see it all in one line. This 2 times thick 2, I'm just going to delete because it's the same thing as doing 2 times thick 2 minus 2 times thick 2, which is nothing. So this 2 times thick 2 is gone. Get rid of it. Just get it 1 minus round of 2. If I render that, it's really hard to see what's going on. And right now, it is perfectly centered on this corner. See how this corner looks a little see-through? This corner is perfectly aligned. In fact, this bottom should be perfectly aligned too. I don't know why it's not glimmering, not shimmering. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably how the Minkowski function works. So what I realize now is that we need to punch a hole a little bit in what dimension. So if I look out and I zoom out, this is what the clip looks like. So I need to punch a hole and have a hole here and a hole up here, which means our y dimension does not need to be subtracted by 2 times thick 2. So this 2 times thick 2, we don't actually need to subtract. In fact, if anything, we need to add on some fudge, I believe. So this 15, let's add on 2 times fudge. That will make the inside slightly bigger in the y dimension. Why is it not coming out good? 15. Don't know why it's not popping out right now. But whatever. Okay, it should eventually work. It's really hard to see what the inside looks like right now, which is a problem. Here, you guys don't copy this down. I'm going to see what's going on the inside. On the inside, I'm going to do a cube of, I don't know, 50, 50. Oh, I need my square brackets. I'm going to do 30, 30, or 40, 40, 40. Works. Translate this by, I'm going to do the next dimension. Let's do 10, 0, 0. What is going on here? Or I'm going to do negative 5. So if I cut into this, it's not being cut out. Why is it not being cut out? That's a good idea too. If you do a percentage sign on that Minkowski, that's going to be the outer Minkowski.
Why is it just a circle? It should be a rectangle.
I think that circle is going to be talking about the sphere for this translate.
Okay.
I need to figure something out, guys. Give me 1 sec. I need to figure out how big this translated thing is going to be. Exclamation mark will show only that object, which is not working. Okay, maybe we need curly braces around our translate. I'm going to try some things, guys. Just hold tight. I'm going to do translate and translate. No, that didn't work. Say again, Arrow?
Maybe if we put zeros in the translate.
0, 0. Okay, let's try it. Yeah. I'm open to all suggestions. No, it didn't. So I should be subtracting this Minkowski, which is just a shape. Why is this Minkowski not working? This ends there. 9 minutes, Mr. Sindel. How do we finish this in time? Is it so small? Did we accidentally subtract so much that it's gone? That might be the reason. So I think this cube is negative, has negative dimensions. The way that you figure that out is you copy and paste one of these. What would be the negative dimension? This thing would probably be the negative dimension in terms of the z. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to say echo that number. Echo just prints it out to the console down here. Haha! Echo -1. We can't have a negative z dimension. So this is what's throwing the error right now. 1 minus round 2. Round 2 is, we set that to 2, I believe. Round 2, we set that to 2. Which means this cube is going to be, oh man. Okay, I think this is going to fix it. If we set this to 1 and set this to 1 plus fudge, now it's cutting a hole in it correctly. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this stuff that you don't have. What we need to do is add fudge to this dimension. Add fudge.
And change it to.
And this thick2 variable, or sorry, not thick2, this round2 variable, change it to 1. Round 2 is 1, and add fudge to our z dimension. Round 2 set to 1, and this fudge has been added to 1. 1 plus fudge minus round 2. That should start fixing this now. Now we can actually translate this to the correct dimensions.
Wait, so what exactly did I do?
It should look like nothing happened. If anything, there's a little shimmer in the bottom. If the bottom looks like it's shimmery, then you have it right.
Wait, mine's kind of thicker.
All right, let's do. Okay, we're 2 steps away. First step is to translate it, and then second step is to fix the hole. So to translate this thing is not in the correct x dimension. We have to find the difference between our cubes. Our difference is thick 2. So translate this by thick 2 in the x dimension. In the y dimension, thick 2 as well, thick 2. In the z dimension, is that going to be thick 2 as well? I think it is thick 2. Thick 2, let's see what happens. It should look like a perfectly solid box, and it does, nice. It should no longer be shimmery if you do thick 2, thick 2, thick 2.
What about on the far
Wait,
side?
lucky, mine's look kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
What is it doing?
That's what we want. That's the shape that we want.
Okay, really.
We just need it to extend out of the negative y direction, which is not, it's not happening. So let me figure out, I'm going to do a percent here and figure out, it's coming out too far. So we need to translate it back down in the y dimension. So if I do this by 0 again, what's going to happen here? It's just barely coming out and barely coming out, which means we need to make this thing, let's add on a crazy big number. Instead of 2 times fudge, change this, wait, no, that's, yeah. So in the second cube, instead of 2 times fudge, change this to like 2, 5, 4.
4?
4, yep. 4 will be perfect. So instead of 2 times fudge, change that to a 4. You can see on my screen what happened. It changed this to a crazy long hole shape. We just need to translate it -2. Instead of 0, make this -2. And if I get rid of that percent, you should now have a perfect hole in the top and the bottom. If I zoom out here, refresh my screen,
Wait, how come my box still looks fat?
I'll come help us. But we should be getting to this shape. We're almost there. We did the second last step. We now need to carve a hole so we can get our rubber band in here. Okay, we are really, really close. Okay, underneath the end of the Minkowski, so Martine, you need to be commenting out those end curly braces. After the end Minkowski and before the end difference, in between those two lines, we need a translated cube. So translate a cube. Don't forget a semicolon after your cube. I know a lot of people have been making that mistake to forget it. We need to first make this cube have an x dimension of 1. So in your square brackets, your first coordinate is 1. So 1 is going to be the width in the x dimension. The z dimension needs to be how thick it is. So it's going to be thick 2 plus, so thick 2 plus 2 times fudge. That's going to be our, shoot, that's our z dimension. That's our z dimension. And then our y dimension, the middle number, sorry about that, that was the last number, the third number. Our second number, our y dimension, is going to be the entire length of this thing. And we have the entire length set to 15, I believe. I believe 15. All right, so if I only look at this cube, it is this long. So if I do an exclamation point, it only looks at that cube. It is the correct length. Now it needs to be translated. It needs to be translated a little bit in the negative y dimension. So in our translate, we have, in our x dimension, it needs to be, it's going to be 14, which is half of 28. I did 28 divided by 2. 14, but that's going to be not quite enough. We need to add on a little bit. We need to add on a thick 2 divided by 2. That should get us directly centered in the x dimension. We need to now center in the y dimension, which is really close. We just need to go minus thick 2 divided by 2. We're going to have to add fudge to some of these. I don't know exactly where it goes. We'll look for the shimmer. And finally, for the z dimension, we need to go up thick 2 and up 1. So it's going to be 1 plus thick 2. That should put us right in the center. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. It's right there, and it's a little bit too high. Our z dimension, oh, thick 2 divided by, no, thick 2 divided by 2. Oh, man, check that out. A little gap hole for our stuff to go through. And it doesn't look like there's any shimmer, so that is our final clip code. On the other side, we needed to make our engraving, but there it is. This is Miss Sassen's shape.
What'd you say?
That is Miss Sassen's shape, the one that she recommended that we do.
How are we going to print this?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I told her was going to be a little bit hard, and the answer is, unfortunately, supports.
Or we could flip it on its side this way.
We'll work on it tomorrow.